The Dune marketing campaign has taken its second beat and it is following in sync with films such as The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. An emerging beat in marketing campaigns for films of this ilk is to pre-sale tickets 9 months to a year in advance of the film being released in these high-profile IMAX 70mm screens that are highly coveted by fans as well as particularly by cinephiles. As the cinephile experience becomes more mainstream through services such as Letterboxd, as well as being popularized by filmmakers such as Ryan Coogler, PTA, and Christopher Nolan, these screens are becoming more popular and more in demand, whilst also being of incredible scarcity. There is only 30 of these screens worldwide, the majority of them being within North America, and the majority of those being within America. I believe there's only 2 in Canada, and there is only 1 in the UK, and I think there's a couple within Europe. They are highly, highly scarce, and they are incredibly popular because they are posted online by projectionists. Look at this screen, look at how big this is. Wouldn't you like to come and see this? And therefore, they are expensive. As I understand it, I think that the tickets for these are probably in the range of about 30 to 50 USD. Now, that I think is probably a fair price for a cinema that you are saying, this is the best screen ever. You are never going to see a film in a better screen than this. Pay us all that money. That's fair. I don't really have an issue with that. Given the fact that IMAX is clearly demonstrating year on year that this is becoming more of a profitable business for them, it is becoming more and more sought after, it is becoming more and more in demand that people want to go to IMAX screens. So for example, Sinners last year made 38 million from IMAX worldwide, which was about 10% of its total box office. The company set a new record of grossing 1.28 billion worldwide, which is their highest ever in the entire history of their company. In North America, China, and the rest of world international markets, it showcased the highest grossing year ever for IMAX. It had the biggest domestic box office ever for the company. It had the biggest Chinese box office ever. It had the biggest rest of world box office ever. It had the biggest global market share that it's ever had for all screens. It had the biggest local language box office. It had the record box office for 35 countries. It had the largest slate in IMAX history with 122 new releases worldwide, and it had films such as Ne Zha 2 come and make $166.7 million. Just so that I'm not throwing out a bunch of statistics without clarification, I should add that in my opinion, given the fact that IMAX is clearly growing year on year and has just exhibited its best ever year, and for this year seems to be exhibiting a similar sort of growth with films such as Project Hail Mary, The Odyssey, and Dune Part 3. It makes sense, therefore, in my opinion, for that business to go, great. It makes sense for us to increase our prices with demand, also increase our supply so that we can manage those prices and it doesn't become exorbitantly high. The issues that we will face and that the increase of supply and demand could give way to are reselling and price gouging. Now, reselling and price gouging are technically 2 different entities. Price gouging, I think, could probably happen in this sense because these screens are so scarce. However, I don't really think that that is an issue now, and I actually think that it's within IMAX's benefit to build more of these 70mm screens because they are becoming more sought after, and having 30 worldwide was fine when this was a niche sort of screen that not a lot of people were sought after. With films like The Odyssey, Dune Part 3, and Sinners becoming more sought after, and more people wanting to go and see these films in IMAX screens, naturally it would bear more fruit to build more of these 70mm screens so that you can make more profit. Resellers and ticket scalpers had then reposted a lot of these tickets on eBay, in some cases $200, in some cases $1,000. And now this is an industry that has long existed within gigs and within concerts. For live events, it has long existed. Music goers have long lamented the fact that services such as Ticketmaster do not take any stringent action whatsoever against resellers to stop them from buying up tickets, not using them for any other purpose than to resell them at a major profit. And now, this kind of parasitic industry is coming for movie going. And it does not really matter to the likes of IMAX if these tickets are sold and then the seats are never filled, or the seats are then placed on resellers to the effect of being sold at a 200% markup, something ridiculous like that. As long as those tickets are sold, IMAX makes its money. Studios make their money. They do not care about resellers. So whilst it might be a fun marketing gimmick and it might benefit the film long term to have these kind of pre-sales, the reselling is where we are going to have a serious detrimental effect on cinema going, where real fans are going to miss out on these tickets and are going to be forced to pay incredibly high markup fees for these tickets if they want to go and see these films in these incredible screens. So, what is the solution here? I don't think that IMAX cares. I don't really know if studios care. I think that, of course, they want bums in seats, but if there's a few seats missing because resellers have nabbed these tickets, I don't really know if they care. So where is the solution? Unfortunately, as much as I dislike government regulation in a lot of industries, and I think that it can often work out bad, unfortunately, I think you need some kind of entity such as the US government to step in an instance such as this, to place some kind of regulation in place so that resellers do not find it as easy, so that reselling tickets cannot be done at a 200% markup, so that if you're selling tickets for a profit, maybe it's at a maximum of £50. I don't know what the cap should be. In an ideal world, the cap should be that if you buy a ticket for £100, you can only resell it for £100. But the US is so capitalistic, I don't see that happening.
Hello, I like money.
So in a less than an ideal world, if it goes from $100 to $150, I can kind of accept that. It's not a perfect solution, but ultimately, I'm not a lawmaker, so I don't really know the ins and outs of what the solutions would be here. But it seems necessary, in my opinion, for some entity such as the US government to step in and say, this is unacceptable. We need this industry to grow, and the only way it is going to grow further is if bums are in seats and if demand remains high because people are able to access these industries. But unfortunately, I don't think IMAX cares about bums actually being in seats. I just think that they care about hands paying those prices. And if that comes at the cost of cinemas being full, I think they'll take that. As long as studios get their money, I think they'll take that. And unfortunately, with the way social media is nowadays, you need these long marketing campaigns and you need these pre-sale events to market your film. And it is to the detriment of fans, and the only ones that benefit from this are ticket scalpers. And it has long existed in music going, and I promise you it is coming for this industry. So be prepared to start paying these ridiculous, exorbitant prices or just sitting out. And there's a good thing going in cinema going. It's becoming more niche. It's becoming more intentional and for the love of the game. And this kind of pushes us in the opposite direction. Action is needed, but action I do not believe will be taken. And that's unfortunately. But thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you. Bye.